All right, let's head straight to the heart of Krakow, right in the middle of its main market square. We're talking about St. Mary's Basilica. Now, this isn't just any church. It's a stunning Gothic masterpiece, sure, but it's also a symbol of the city and maybe more importantly, a total treasure chest of some incredible and sometimes pretty dark Polish legends.
Okay, so if you're standing in the square and you look up at the basilica, the first thing that's going to jump out at you is, well, this. It's completely lopsided. The two towers are just dramatically different. And no, that wasn't an accident. It wasn't some last-minute change of plans. This asymmetry is actually a clue, a key that unlocks some of Krakow's oldest and most powerful stories. So the big question is, why? Why are they so uneven? All right, let's dive into this architectural puzzle. First up, Krakow's uneven crown. We're going to get to know these two very different towers that really define the city's skyline. So here they are, side by side. On your left, you've got the taller one, the North Tower. This one shoots up a whopping 82 meters, and it's called the Hejnalika. That basically means the trumpet tower. And then on the right, you have the shorter South Tower, coming in at 69 meters. This one's the church's belfry. So, at first glance, the difference makes sense. One's a watchtower, the other's a bell tower. But trust me, that simple functional difference, that is just the beginning of the story.
Okay, so let's focus on that taller tower for a minute, the Hejnalika, because every single hour it sends out a sound that is, well, it's basically the very heartbeat of Krakow. Let's talk about this trumpet call and its sudden, very mysterious end. That sound, it's called the Ołtarz Mariacki. A trumpeter plays it 4 times, once for each corner of the world. But here's the weird part. If you really listen, you'll notice the melody just stops. It cuts off right in the middle of a note every single time. And the reason for that sudden silence? Oh, that's where one of the city's greatest legends comes in.
So the story goes like this. Picture it. It's the 13th century, and a Tatar invasion is sweeping towards Krakow. A lone watchman high up in the tower spots them coming. He grabs his trumpet and sounds the alarm, giving the city just enough time to slam the gate shut. But as he's playing, a Tatar arrow flies through the air and pierces his throat, silencing the melody forever. And so to this day, the tune is played just as he left it, broken, to honor his incredible sacrifice. It's this beautiful, heroic story, right? But is it actually true?
Well, this is where it gets really interesting. That ancient legend, yeah, it's not so ancient. Turns out it was completely invented in the 1920s. The story is that a woman just made it up on the spot at a dinner party for an American author named Eric P. Kelly. He loved it, put it in his book The Trumpeter of Krakow, and boom, a legend was born. It's kind of wild, right?
But look, just because that specific story is new, don't get me wrong, the tradition of the trumpet call is seriously old. We have records of a trumpeter getting paid for this job all the way back in 1392. For centuries, it was used to signal the opening and closing of the city gates. Then in 1838, it became the official way to mark high noon. It hit the airwaves on Polish radio in 1927, and in a great bit of history, the first woman performed it in 1993. So yeah, the arrow story might be a modern fable, but the Hejnal itself is absolutely woven into the fabric of the city. Okay, enough about the sounds outside. Let's step through those doors and see the treasure within. Because what you find inside this basilica is just as legendary, if not more so.
The second you walk in, bam, your eyes are just pulled straight to this. It's the monumental altarpiece by the incredible sculptor Veit Stoss. And to give you a sense of scale here, we're talking 13 meters tall. That's over 42 feet. Think about that, a 4-story building carved entirely out of wood. It is an absolute masterpiece of Gothic art.
So what are we actually looking at? Well, the whole thing tells the story of the Virgin Mary. Right in the center, that big panel shows her dormition, which is a beautiful way of saying her death or falling asleep, and she's surrounded by all the apostles. Look right above that, and you see her Assumption being taken up into heaven. And those big side wings, when they're open, they show scenes from her life and the life of Christ. It's basically a whole storybook carved in wood. Absolutely breathtaking. But whatever you do, don't forget to look up. Just look at that ceiling. The entire inside of the church is painted in this stunning deep blue, just covered in golden stars. This whole celestial design, the polychrome, was created in the late 19th century by Jan Matejko, who is basically a rock star in the world of Polish painting. And get this, his assistants were Stanisław Jęski and Józef Mahofer, who went on to become legends themselves. It was like an all-star team of artists turning the church into a literal vision of heaven. Okay, so we've heard the trumpets and we've seen the treasures, but we still haven't answered that first big question. Why are the towers so different? Well, to get that answer, we need to dive into another legend. And this one's a lot darker. Let's get to the tale of two towers. According to this tale, the job of building the towers was given to two brothers. Each brother was in charge of one tower. The younger brother's tower, the north one, started rising faster. It was taller, more beautiful, and the older brother, he couldn't stand it. Consumed by jealousy, he murdered his own sibling. He finished his own taller tower and just put a simple dome on his brother's unfinished work. But the story doesn't end there. On the day the church was being consecrated, the guilt was too much. He climbed to the very top of the tower he'd built, confessed his terrible crime to the whole city below, and then he leaped to his death. And here's where this legend gets really creepy and feels, well, real. The knife, the very murder weapon, they say, is said to be hanging right there in the gateway of the cloth hall, just across the square. You can still see it today. It's there as a warning, a physical piece of this dark, grim fairy tale, hanging right in the middle of the city.
So you've got these incredible stories, right? Heroes, murderers, they give the church this amazing mystique. But its real power, its true importance, comes from its role as a living, breathing symbol for Poland, especially when it matters most. This isn't just a building. It's the city's enduring heartbeat. I mean, look at how the traditions of this church have marked history. In 1944, the Hymnal was actually played at the Battle of Monte Cassino to announce a crucial Polish victory during World War II. When Pope John Paul II, Krakow's most famous son, passed away in 2005, the trumpet call was replaced by a mournful song. In 2019, they played The Sound of Silence for the funeral of Gdansk's assassinated mayor. And in 2022, in a powerful show of support, the Ukrainian national anthem rang out from that tower. This place is not a museum. It really is the nation's pulse. So in the end, we're left with these incredible legends that, well, they might not be factually true, but they have absolutely shaped the identity of the city for generations. And it really makes you think, doesn't it? If a story is told and retold for a century, whether it's about a hero with an arrow in his throat or two jealous brothers, does it eventually become just as real, just as fundamental to a place as the actual bricks and mortar? When you're in Krakow, it really feels like the answer is a definite yes.